Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish, Malson, Massachusetts, right here on WROL 950 AM 100.3 FM. And you can also hear us on CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. We thank you for listening to the program. We're happy you are here, especially if you've been listening on a regular basis so I guess that's everybody who's coming here for the first time. Make sure you share this message with others so that others can hear this message. And this week we're talking about a powerful message. And the reason why we're doing this is because you're going to have to keep these principles in mind when you are engaged in whatever kind of party or experience, and depending on, obviously, the rules of the coronavirus, but in these Christmas holidays. And you may encounter people who are living a lifestyle that is different than what we encounter as Catholics, and you need to understand how to deal with it. So these three programs have been highlighting it, and this is the third program where we're going to highlight that. And then next week we're going to talk about this letter was received very negatively because people didn't understand it, and we're going to talk about the negative aspects, not the negative, but the perceived negative aspects. One of the things I want to bring out is I think the reason why there was so much controversy over the way this letter was written and received is because I think what Bishop Dorfleyer could have done is, instead of addressing it just to people with same-sex attraction and gender dysphoria, he could have said, this is how you do pastoral ministry. Because a lot of people from those communities are very upset because they feel they've been singled out. And in a sense, you could say they have been, because this is how you do pastoral ministry, and these are the rules that apply to everyone, yet it is written saying, these people, this is the way they have to, this is what you have to respond to them, and this is what they can and cannot do. But those apply right across the board in all forms. And I think that was where people are upset. There were some other things too, and which I'll address all that next week. But you can see that. However, this first part of the letter is just outstanding because he's speaking about this is how we lead people to know Christ. And he talks about this personal encounter. And he talks about there's no timeline. And he talks about you don't turn around and just recite church teaching and tell people this is the way they have to live. That's probably the most important statement in there. He says people who do that cause great damage. And these are important words. God cause great harm is the actual word he uses, to address the behavior apart from fostering a personal encounter with Jesus and his love is likely to harm the other person. Oh boy, I hope every bishop at the USCCB hears that, because I've heard these bishops say people have to live a virtuous life. That's true. But you can't tell them to live a virtuous life if you haven't taught them how to have that personal encounter with Christ and to be people of prayer. And that's what he's saying. It is such a powerful statement. And I've been saying this on the show since it began. I've been saying it as a priest for 30 years. Yes, yes, yes. So that's probably the most important statement. And people won't understand that, especially the people who feel offended by the statement and get thrown off. So these are powerful words that he makes. And then he goes on and describes how people live a chaste life. Now, there's something I want to explain. I've explained this before, but I'm explaining to you again. I hate Twitter. I don't mind using Twitter to let people know this is the program, but that's what it is used for. That's what you should use for. But people use Twitter to teach the Catholic faith. I hate that. Because, let me give you an example. A lot of things have to deal with the issues of chastity. Chastity is 11 paragraphs in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It takes 11 paragraphs to describe how to live a chaste life. Twitter requires no more than 280 characters. How can you sum up 11 paragraphs on how to live a chaste life in 280 characters? You can't. He gives a very powerful teaching on how we're all called to chastity, which again takes that whole focus just on people with same-sex attraction and gender dysphoria out. And he says, this is how we live a chaste life. We're all called to live a chaste life. And those 11 paragraphs, which you will find in the Catechism of the Catholic Church under the 6th commandment, are excellent. And they really bring in that we have to have the right tools, and they include especially prayer and devotion and self-denial and all these things. You can read it in there, and it'll explain those things. And friendship. You cannot live a chaste life without Christ-centered friendships. So when people hear people quote the Bible, this or the church teaching, this is the way you have to live, and they take the 11 paragraphs on how to live a chaste life and sum it up to 280 characters or less, then you understand that, as he said, they're doing great harm, because there's a whole section in there on how friendship is an essential part of living a chaste life. Did you know that? Or did you just learn, well, my second cousin on, 3 times removed on my mother's side has got a relationship with his partner, and I've got to tell him this is wrong and tell him not to come to the party. Well, guess what? Doesn't work that way. And this is important for you to understand, because what people hear is they hear, well, if I follow church teaching, I have to be all by myself, I'm going to be alone, and I can't have any relationship with anyone. That's not church teaching at all. It is not at all. We're all called to holy friendships. And St. Alred Revaux said those friendships, the love from those friendships is an intense form of love. And St. John Newman said he didn't imagine how much that friendship is as deep as husband and wife. We'll talk more in just a few minutes on the other side of the break. You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL 950 AM 100.3 FM. And you can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. We are presently in the process of evaluating the effectiveness of our programming for our mission at St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. In a few weeks, we have to decide whether to renew our contract for another year. So, we need your feedback. Are these programs helping you become stronger in your faith? Have these programs affected your relationship with Christ? Please send any comment to us through CatholicAudiomedia.com/contact. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com/contact. You may also call us using the number listed there, 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. You can even write to us at St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Every comment will be evaluated as we make the decision whether to renew for a new year. And don't forget our website, CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com, where you can check out our website. You can check out the archives of the show. You can check out our Substack newsletter. You can also send us a comment, as you heard. Please do that. Please let people know that you are listening to us. You can also send us a donation if you'd like, just to show people that you support the program, whatever the case may be. And see, that helps me to show others, yes, the people are listening and they are enjoying the program. Do you know, if you send me a note, whether it's through the email or through a letter, if you send me a note, or even through the parish, you can do it through the parish website, which you can also find at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or at StAnthonyAlston.org. ST is Saint, StAnthonyAlston.org. You can send a comment. That represents so many people who wanted to send a comment and don't. And so, did I say that right? And do not? Yeah, I guess. Okay. So, so that's important. Your comment, say, well, I think I will send a comment. I'm thinking of it, because you represent people who want to send a comment and don't. So please consider doing that. So we're talking about this powerful message, and he talks about the role of chastity. So then we understand that simple understanding of just saying rules and telling people this is how you follow it does not make any sense. That we have to teach people an encounter with Christ. So taking, again, I've said this several times in the series, taking it again out of the focus on same-sex attracted and gender dysphoria, and talking about how to pastorally minister to other people in all ways, we realize first step is really to lead people, which may take years, he says, to an encounter with Christ. And that encounter with Christ will lead them to a prayer life, which you cannot live Catholic teaching unless you have a good prayer life, and to understand And that's the big thing. Understand to follow Catholic teaching because you understand why to follow Catholic teaching. It's not these are the rules. And this is the thing that angers people the most because they just feel it's a bunch of rules. It's not. It's an encounter with Christ. So the reason why someone goes to Mass when they understand this whole process and live this whole process is not because the rule says you have to go to Mass. The rule says you got to go to Mass, so I better go. It's 9:55. The Mass starts at 10. I'll show up 2 minutes later. It'll be good. But I'll follow the rule, right? That's not Catholicism. But how many people think like that? Or even worse, those people are closer to Christ than one who say, I'm good enough to get to heaven. Why do I have to go to church? There's plenty of people out there. And it is really understanding. And a lot of people get offended if they're called sinners, right? Except for, now this is the Catholic understanding. I know there are people in the evangelical community who may be listening who see it in a different perspective, but in the Catholic understanding, except for Mary, all the people in heaven are sinners. All the people in heaven are sinners. Oh, but if I'm a sinner, they called me a sinner. All the people in heaven are sinners. Oh, all of them. There are plenty of people, now don't want to go too far on this one, but there are plenty of people in hell who will say, I never sinned in my life. Some of your most evil people in the world do not believe they do anything wrong. And I'm not talking about people from the same-sex community or gender dysphoria at all. I'm talking about in general. Let's take the classic example. Do you think Hitler or Stalin believed they did anything wrong? Probably not. Probably not. Do you think Heinrich Himmler thought he did anything wrong? Do you think any of the people who were doing what was happening in Auschwitz thought they were doing anything wrong? I bet you they didn't. They were doing what they felt was right. And that's my point. But the person who can turn around and repent of their sins or even acknowledge their sins, say, I'm not ready, but I'm going to acknowledge them, that person goes to heaven. Everyone in heaven, except for the Catholic understanding, except for Mary, is a sinner. Oh, keep that in mind. We're going to have Father Adriano Zandana, tomorrow on Christmas Eve. In the meantime, we are glad you're listening to our program. Let people know where to find it, especially if you want to address the issues I bring up in here. And remember what I said. The real problem with the letter is he addressed it to one specific group of people. He should have addressed it to the Catholic community in general, and it would have gone a lot further. Have yourself a blessed day, and we'll talk tomorrow. In Cristo vivimos.